Hi, I'm Nan Arkwright. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. I work with children in individual sessions as well as in social skills sessions. And we practice a lot on things that are hard for kids. And that's where my ideas for the books come from, trying to help kids learn through story ways that they can do things that are difficult for them. It sort of gives them a roadmap for that, but it also is for the adults working with the children for a roadmap for them as well. How do you help guide a child to learn difficult things? In particular, on this series with Seymour, Mindful Seymour pauses, talk about different areas of challenge that I see with the kids I work with. And so what I wanted to do was share one of the stories that I've written. This one is about arguing, and this is something I definitely see with many of the uh, groups of kids that I work with, where somebody will say, "No, I'm not out," or "No, I only had 3 outs. It's not time for me to be out," or "No, that ball was in." And what I see from kids is that they they just want to play the game. They don't care that much about the point, whether it's an in or out. They just want to let's go, let's play. And so when a child cares more about the points and whether they're in or out, or whether they won the game or didn't win the game, then it takes the fun out of the play for the whole group because everyone just wants to like, let's go, let's do the next point, whatever the game is that they're playing, that's what they're interested in doing. And they let it go. They let things roll off their back that aren't that important. And when they do solve problems, they just do them quickly. They don't consider all the variations of that. You could do this, you could do this, you could do this. They just say, let's do it. And then usually everyone agrees to it or maybe chimes in and has another idea. And usually people are like, that's cool too. So let's go. So I will share my screen to show you the story. And this is called Mindful Seymour Pauses, Arguing with Others. So you can see already from the cover of the book that he's going to be struggling in some way to know what to do in this situation. So he's having a great time until he and Marco are fussing over whose ball it is. And so we see the perspective of Seymour and what he's thinking and why he's persisting in thinking that that ball should be his and not being flexible about letting the other bird, okay, go ahead and have a turn. So Seymour's sister Turkessa sees, uh-oh, something's happening here. And Seymour probably doesn't really know how to handle this situation. So I'm going to show him some things that will help him know what to do. So she actually has these special future vision goggles that help him understand what could happen if he does continue to fuss over that ball with his friend Marco. And then she shows him what could happen if he makes a different choice. So this is what he sees when he puts on the goggles, the conflict mode. So he sees that they're both like pulling harder and harder and yelling, it's mine, it's mine. And here's what Seymour is thinking. You already got it once. It's only fair I get it this time. And so Seymour's keeping track as he's playing. And so this is part of the challenge for many of the kids I work with is they do think everything should be exactly fair. And they do count how many times somebody else has been in or out and compare it to their circumstances. And they don't like it if it doesn't feel fair. So that's the challenge for Seymour. And we know that from what he's saying. And so in his future vision goggles, he's watching this back and forth with the ball, and it's not going anywhere. And so he looks into the goggles and then sees his friends are troubled by the disagreement. And they yell at him that they just want to play. And they don't think it's fun waiting for Seymour. and his friend Marco to fight over the ball. They feel like they're wasting their playtime. And you can see one bird's like, I'm out of here. I don't want to play this anymore. It's not fun. And another one is saying, you're wasting our time. And then there's a bird in the background thinking, I'm going to get help from a grown up. So Seymour's thinking, I don't think about all that. Well, back to this part. He's not realizing all of that's going on while he's hyper focused on the ball and getting that ball. He's not realizing what's happening all around him and the impact that this struggling with his other bird has on the atmosphere of everyone that's there playing. So he's saying, oh, I didn't know all that was going to happen. I just wanted to have a turn with the ball. So it's just makes a lot of sense that that's what he wants, and that he just hasn't learned that there's more going on than just that when there's something that's hard for you to do, and to be flexible, to let someone else have a turn. And so his sister says, well, yeah, I get it. And I understand why that's hard for you. There are other ways to solve the problem, though, besides just who's stronger and can get the ball, because what happens to the person who doesn't get the ball, he's not thinking about that. He's thinking, well, I got the ball. But what about the other person? Like, are they going to want to keep playing with you? They may just stomp off, and now you're left playing by yourself. So again, these things are thinking down the road a little bit and not something that a lot of kids think of in the moment. And then they don't understand, like, how come he doesn't want to play? Why did he leave? I thought we were having fun together. I've got the ball. I'm ready to play. And so she's helping him learn, well, he is willing to go ahead and see what other ways there might be for solving the problem, but he's really kind of uncertain about, like, well, if I didn't persist and keep getting the ball, like, what would happen? Would that make me, like, what would that mean for me? So his sister says, well, push this button and we'll move from conflict mode to solution mode, and then you'll see. So here he is again, looking through the goggles, and there's the scene with them fussing over the ball. But then if you look to the birds on the right, one's saying, let's all agree on some new rules and we can have fun without arguing. And so the other bird in the background is now thinking, oh, well, the tone is kind of shifting now. It looks like maybe we can solve this. Maybe we don't need a grown-up to help us. So as soon as one person kind of shifts the mood and says, well, let's just do this, mostly kids will join in doing something like that, because that gets the ball of the game going again, and that's what they want. And nobody really wants to go and get adult help, because that takes a long time. So yeah, great, we can solve it ourselves. That's the best. So they're working it out among themselves about what the rules should be. And one bird suggesting, well, we could replay the point. Or another bird suggests, well, maybe somebody could be a referee. And another bird suggesting, well, how about rock, paper, scissors? And everyone likes that. And when I'm with the kids in my social skills groups, this is just a no-brainer. They go to it readily. They're willing to do it. Only on occasion do I have a child who feels that that's not fair. It's pure luck, of course, but some kids will try to watch and see what the other person's going to do, and then wait a second to get a little edge on the other person, and they get called on it. And so people do really, the kids do really expect that it's a fair and square way to solve a problem. It's quick, it's efficient, and for the most part, people accept the outcome and move on. They don't always think of that. They still often need me to remind them, do you want to do rock, paper, scissors, or do you have another idea? But almost always they might want to revise the rules or something, but almost always they want to just say, yeah, let's solve the dispute with rock, paper, scissors. So they do it, and Seymour does not win, but he handles it. Again, I think this does reflect what really happens, that the kids typically will say, okay, go ahead, you won. So Turkessa's thinking about helping him learn how to do this the next time. Because there will be another time when there's a disagreement in a ball game or in some other kind of situation. And so she's saying, do you want to figure out what else you can do? Because nobody likes arguing over something. And so they people just want to have fun. And if you keep track and think about who had it first, who had the most turns, all of that, it doesn't really end up solving a problem, and it doesn't really end up feeling that great. And then the game doesn't happen. So here's a way that might feel better. So she shows him a badge that she has and tells him, like, this helps me remember that arguing isn't fun for anyone. And when I read it to myself, I picture myself doing this, and it says, pause, let's just have fun, rock, paper, scissors, fun, fun, fun. So it's just a reminder, like, you've got a tool. This little badge can help you remember to pause, think before you don't think, and think about solving problems by just using rock, paper, scissors as a way. And then that you don't have to keep track of everything. You don't have to be upset about something. You don't have to think it's not fair. It's just a tool to help you in that moment. And if you've got a hands-on reminder there, even though it might be hard, there still might be a need for an adult or a peer to step in and say, remember, you've got a tool. You can use it. That, because until it's practiced enough, that might be necessary. And so he touches the badge and he says, yes, this will help me remember my friends, and I can solve problems. And then we can have fun together. And also, it'll help him remember that it is more fun to play with friends than to argue about something. So he's waiting in line for his next turn, and he notices a keep away game happening, and he sees the same thing happening with these other birds that he just went through. And now he's feeling like, oh, I would really like to be a helper for them, because now I know what to do. So Turkessa helped me, now I can help them. This is a great way to reinforce a lesson and to practice it and see how you can actually be helpful, just like Turkessa was helpful to him. So he's recognizing that, okay, things don't always go my way, and I can be okay with that. I can be flexible. I can compromise. I can give and take in games. I have uh, the ability to do that. And I like how that feels. And other birds like how that feels too. So you can tell from he's just kind of singing do, 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 do as he goes over to help the other birds. So he's feeling like, I grew from this experience. My brain grew. I know how to do things now that I didn't know how to do before. And this feels way better. And I feel confident. My self-esteem is up. And I feel like this is not going to be too hard for me next time something like this happens. I have a tool to help me remember. I might need Turkessa still to help me remember sometimes if it's really, really hard for me, but I have had a success, and if I could do it once, I can do it again. So that's the story, and I'll stop sharing my screen right now. That is a list of books that I have written and expect to have them on Amazon soon. And also what I have for further reinforcement of the messages in the story are some activities for kids to do that give them another opportunity to think about how they can be like Seymour. It's also a conversation starter. Like, the books are meant to be conversation starters, but also the little activities that I've provided that will be on my website as the books are published are also meant to be conversation starters. So in the next part of this video, I'll be interviewing a guest speaker about the extra free gifts. We'll go through some of the messages in those free gifts and ways that adults can help children with those kinds of messages to integrate that into their daily routine and daily life, and for them to be able to do just like Seymour did, like, okay, I know how to do hard things now. I needed a little help knowing how to do that, and now I can do it. And it might not be easy, but I'm wanting to do that because I understand that that makes it more fun for everybody to play the game, and we get more time at recess if it's a school to actually play games and have fun together. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll tune in for the second part where I talk about the free gifts that go along with the story, as I mentioned. And I hope you'll come back for another video. I have a total of 7 in this series. And then I have some other books as well, another series of 4 books with Keto, who's a giraffe. And then I have a few other books. Mission Control, a Big Feelings Adventure is already out on Amazon, and it has a lot of material. So I hope you will take advantage of all of those resources. I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Good night.